Okay, like we've started.
Okay, excellent. Well, good afternoon to everyone over at Oakleaf. We're certainly glad to have you here with us today. I think we may be in one of the classrooms. I'm not sure how many are participating with us, but if you're in a classroom, we're looking forward to a chance to share with you a few things about manufacturing and about Grace Aerospace, which is a fantastic company that if you haven't heard about, you're going to get a chance to learn a little bit more about them, about what they do, and a little bit about manufacturing as a whole. I am very happy to be with you. My name is Lake Ray. I'm the president of the First Coast Manufacturers Association. We are an association that serves manufacturers in Northeast Florida, from Nassau, Duval, St. John's, Clay, Putnam, and over in Baker County. And we represent something on the order of about 45,000 that are in the working sector of manufacturing here in this regional area. As an association, we have on the order of 200 to 240 different companies that cover almost all of these different counties in different ways. We know that we're having an opportunity to be with you today to share a few things that we hope you will find very interesting. Our association has been committed to making sure that one, we represent manufacturers, those that are out there, and second is to help our manufacturers tell people about what amazing things are made in our regional area here. Some of you may know a few of the things that are made here, and some of you may not. And I'm just going to take a quick moment to share with you a few items that you may or may not know about. One of which is wallboard. When you're looking at your classrooms, all the gypsum board that is there, we have a company called US Gypsum, and they make miles and miles and miles of gypsum board every day. We also have a company that makes cans. They make the cans for the Monster drink and for Coca-Cola, for other types of beverages, and they press these out, and it's amazing. They take a little disc, it goes through a 9-step process, and prints it out and paints it all at one time. And they produce somewhere between 9 to 12 million cans every day. We're very excited also to tell you about a few other things that are out there, like Grace, for example, who serves our aerospace industry, making very high-tech, very particular things for various aircraft, working for our military. We also have some that make amazing fans that, for ventilation systems. If you're in a warehouse, or if you're in a auditorium or at a football stadium and you have a fan, we make companies make those here. We have companies that make the vest for our police officers and for our military that are bulletproof vests. We have a company that makes eye contacts. If you wear eye contacts, the Johnson & Johnson company makes eye contacts. There's a company that's not too far from you that is known as Carlisle. They're over near the outlet center, they're in the St. Augustine area, and they are Carlisle. They make miles and miles and miles of communication wires. So it's a real interesting number of things that are made in the area. There's Medtronics also that makes everything from pacemakers to things that are involved for our medical facilities. So today we have this opportunity, which we had an opportunity last year with Grace to speak to our students, to tell them about what they do over at Grace. And they're located out in the Cecil Commerce Center area there, and you will find that they do some amazing things in terms of products that they make. So some of you may be thinking about manufacturing in the past. When we talk about manufacturing, a number of different people think of heavy processes, smokestacks, and things like that. And they think that industry and manufacturing is bad. And that's just simply not true. What they do at Grace is all very clean, and they're very conscientious about not only the health of their of their people, but they're also conscientious about how they can make different products and how they can save things for our environment. So they're utilizing their products very well. They're very high tech with some of the things that they make, and you're going to get a chance to see some of that here in just a couple more minutes. But once again, I want to thank you for that opportunity to share a few minutes of your time. I want to thank Grace for putting this on and for taking time to present this showcase of their facilities to you. And when we're going, I want to invite any of you that may be watching to ask questions. At the end, I'll be answering, I'll be asking questions of those that are over at Grace today, and they're going to have a chance to answer a few of your questions. So at any stage, ask a question, and let's have some fun, see what's going on. So I'm going to turn it over to our friends over at Grace.
Great, thanks for that, Blake. As you all heard, Jacksonville's a pretty amazing place to be right now. And I just moved down here about 3 years ago and have joined the First Coast Manufacturing Association. You realize how much opportunity is so localized here in Jacksonville. And it was interesting to hear Lake talk about some of those people, and I'm sure you can all relate to it, whether you wear contact lenses or drink soda. A lot of these things are being manufactured right down here in Jacksonville. And Lake did mention Carlisle Wire. We use their products in a lot of the cables and harness assemblies that we manufacture. So it's a great place to be, and welcome Oakleaf High School. We are very happy to host you today, even if it's virtually. We did have a great experience hosting Yulee High School last year, and things were a little different then, and the students actually came on site, but we're going to make the best of this virtual adventure for you. So thanks again for allowing us to present. I'm here with Leighton Morris, who is our head of electrical integration as well as electrical manufacturing, as well as Kareem Jackson, who runs our machine shop, does metal fabrication as well as CNC machining. And each of them will have a chance to talk to you and show you some videos, a little bit more of what we do on a day-to-day basis. Amanda, can we move on to the next slide, please? So a little bit about Grace Aerospace before we get into some of the specifics. My father actually started this company about 20 years ago out of New York. He spent his entire career at Northrop Grumman, and if you guys probably remember, or maybe you're too young, I don't know, Top Gun and the F-14. That was a major program that he spent a good deal of his career working on. And over the years, new technology comes into place, new aircraft come into place, and they call that sunsetting of the aircraft, and it becomes what's deemed a legacy aircraft. And the major manufacturers tend to participate in manufacturing of the newer aircraft and don't so much want to support those legacy or sunset aircrafts. So my father had a great idea of supporting this niche environment of sunsetting aircraft and being able to resolve product obsolescence and manufacturing parts that not a lot of people knew how to do. So he and a couple of his colleagues from Northrop Grumman formed Grace. And originally we just did electrical manufacturing. Over the years, we started to work really closely with NAS Jacksonville, and they said we could really use some CNC machining and structural manufacturing. So we moved our primary manufacturing operations down here to Jacksonville and implemented new manufacturing capabilities. So we're really excited to say that we can provide a front-to-end solution to our customers. We do some engineering support and prototyping with our customers, and we work from them from the beginning to the end of the process. And that could be making cables, harnesses, braiding wire, labeling wire, laser marking. And then Kareem and his team do a lot of the structural fabrication and CNC machining. And then we integrate the two, all those electrical components into the structural components and have an end product. So over the past year, we've done a lot of work for the P8 program, and many of the pictures that you'll be seeing today are in support of that program. So Amanda, if you can move on to the next page. So here we talk a little bit about our solutions. Some of what I described before. Right here, what you see is a 3-bay rack, and this rack actually went inside the P8 aircraft. We did basically nose to tail. All the interior components of that aircraft were made by Grace. And Leighton and Kareem will talk to you a little bit more about how that process worked, but you'll see we do some engineering, the redesign. We work hand in hand. Sometimes they'll send us blueprints, they think we can make, and then we go to 3D model it. And in actuality, it's not going to work when we go to manufacture it. So before we go through the whole exercise of making something that we know is not going to work, we work with the engineers of various companies to say, in reality, when we go to make this, the square peg doesn't fit in the round hole. Let's redesign this and make sure it's something that is viable and useful to you. If we move on to the next slide, this shows a little bit of those exercises that we go through. So the middle picture there is showing a 3D design of something we did using computer-aided design software. And by using this software, it allows us to see visually what it will look like when end product is developed. So as you'll see here, we work with the customer to make sure that all their expectations are met and we meet their schedule. We work alongside them. They know if there's going to be any delays or if we're ahead of schedule, whatever the case may be. It's really important, I'm sure you hear this in school as well as in the business place, communication is key. You just have to let your customer know what's working, what's not. And I think the more you communicate, the better your relationship will be. If we move on to the next slide, I think we'll get a little bit more into the details of working with the customer. Sorry a minute, can we go on to the next slide? Okay, and here we'll show our video of CNC machining, or actually this is our water jet. And if you turn on the volume, you might get a little more. And Kareem, I'll actually turn it over to you if you want to walk through some of what we're seeing here.
Okay, what we're looking at right now is our CNC machine. And as you're basically seeing it doing a CNC path. And right now we're in the process of bending. So that's a CNC press brake. So in the sheet metal world and in the structural world, there's a lot of different processes that we use to actually machine parts. Here at Grace, and we use several different, we have a machine shop, which consists of a CNC machining, a 3-axis and 4-axis machines. We also do have some manual bridge ports and lathes that we can also do some things manually. So, but for the most part, a lot of what we do is not really and truthfully in the old grandiose way of thinking of things of being dirty. And it's really a clean shop. And the products that we make and how we go about proceeding to making them is really and truthfully done in most fashions in a computer-aided drafting way. So all the machines that we work with, they're also computer-aided. So it's a lot of technical skill that goes into it. It's a lot of math. It's a lot of drawing, and it's also fun. Can we go to the next slide? So here you can see some of our capabilities. With the CNC water jet and with the CNC press brake, we're allowed to create the flat panel on the CNC water jet and then take it to the brake and bend it up. Now there's several different lot of things we can make in that. You know, boxes, pans, trays, and a lot of other different products. Aluminum is one of the main, one of our main products that we deal with, mainly in the aerospace. But that press brake can pretty much, and that water jet can pretty much do almost about any type of metal and steel that you can think of. In some instances, you know, we're sort of like of a job shop, so you have to have a variety of different skills of different metals that we're turning and machining. A lot of ways, a lot of what we do is all about math. So math is going to be very key and important. Trig and algebras is definitely, in geometry is definitely some of the math that we're using every day. So in a lot of sense, you're in school, you're taking those classes. You might not think right now that you're going to need this in real life, but in some essences, when you come into the real world and dealing with jobs, right, those things come into play all the time. So mainly what I would like to say is that, you know, the future is yours. You're young, and take this time to really divulge into what you kind of want to do. And if you're not going to college and you're going to stay here at home in Jacksonville, being a productive member of the community is coming out and holding a job. And don't think that the only job you're going to need or the only job you're capable of doing is just some fast food. No, there's a lot of other different things out here that are open for entry level, to begin in the start levels on the ground floor and work your way up and learn these trades and skills that can actually give you a career, take you a long ways. So I'm going to go ahead and now, and can we go to the next slide?
I think this is taking us to the electrical section.
So you can see some of the computer drafting that we kind of do within here. I'm gonna pass it on over now to my partner, Leighton, who's the electrical engineer.
Hi, my name's Leighton. I have been in aviation business for about 26 years now. And what you're looking at right there in these videos is my computer right here in this office that we use to develop aircraft parts from an engineering level to a manufacturing level. So we use AutoCAD. This software is called AutoCAD, but what it allows us to do is virtually put everything together prior to building something that does not fit into the aircraft. We do that right here on site. We present any problems that we may or may not have to our customers. In this case, our customer was the U.S. Navy. You'll see this machine here. This takes wire and stamps it. Now you see some soldering, some circuit boards, and different things that we do. But basically, in the electrical world, as you know, the aircraft are full of computers. They're full of armament computers, they're full of guidance computers, communication, everything under the sun to get the job done. And what we do to help with that here is anything from producing the electric device itself or the interconnect wiring from device to device. And the basics is it starts with a simple wire, just like you see here. This is the basics of all telecommunications. If you can see that. We'll take many of these and put them together. And the way we determine the difference between one and the other is with this machine called laser marking, and it puts a small number on there. And that small number is unique to that circuit inside an aircraft. We catalog all that information here. And when we integrate it all together into one complete harness, the connectors on the ends of the harness look similar to this. This is a connector right here that would simply connect or disconnect from an aircraft. It's a robust metal piece that allows it to be very durable, very usable, and obviously it also blocks any electromagnetic interference because of the material it's made of. So it's quite unique to the aviation business. But again, with the racks that you saw earlier that Kareem was discussing, we will take that rack. It starts as a hollow metal device, and then we will sort of make it smart by implementing all the harnesses and all the electronic components into that and give that to the Navy. The Navy will then upload that piece of equipment into an aircraft called the P-8 Poseidon. And at Oak Leaf High School, if you've ever been out at break and you look straight up and you've seen a gray 737 flying over to land at Cecil Field, that's the aircraft that it goes into. Of course, you see a lot of Oak Leaf being in the glide path of these aircraft. You get to see quite a few of them, but that's just one of them. The other things that we get into are, as you see in this slide here, these little boxes with the red switches on there, those are armament control panels. They control various weapon systems on aircraft. We continue to support the military with making those. And in making that piece there, it requires engineering, it requires structure with all the machine work, the water jets, and the things that Kareem was doing. Then we have to produce the wiring in the back, in the wire room with the laser marking and all that, and then we have to build the circuit cards, and it all comes together. It's about an 8-step process all in one that we do all in-house here, to include all the painting and everything else, and all the emblems and everything that's got to go on there. So in that respect, we have a lot of different processes that we do in-house that require a lot of different hats and different thinking skills and different skill sets all together that sort of come into one. And that's what makes it magic here, is that we never quite do the same thing twice. Everything that we do here is always something new, to where you have to put on your thinking cap and figure out by looking at the drawings and looking at this and that to make it all happen. And then once we build it, we have to electrically test it. We have to turn on different electronic equipment and plug into it and make signals come in and out of it. And we analyze the signals coming in and out right here on site. So it's a kind of a fun job to have. From the drawing board to the end product can be quite rewarding, because of all the things that you have to sort of put together to make this one job happen. And and the list goes on and on with all the different aircraft that we support. Pretty much every fighter jet or every cargo aircraft or every reconnaissance aircraft that the military has, we are a part of. We support all that stuff. And so we get to put our hands into just a little bit of everything. And it's in that respect, it's very unique and very rewarding place to be. So as far as initial integrations and electrical, that's it in a nutshell. Is there anything else, Pauline?
Well, I think this next slide gets a little bit more into the systems integration. We want to talk a little bit about what they're seeing here with these operating consoles.
Absolutely. All right, these consoles that you see, obviously it looks like the warrior's operator station, and in fact it is. A sailor will sit at that console. In a nutshell, what it is they can monitor echo sounding underwater. And they can look at the worldwide moving maps and satellite imagery and this and that on those consoles. Those consoles plug into the P-8 Poseidon. They operate all the other major radio racks in there. And so what you're seeing is a combination of metal structure put together with all of the integrated wiring that we do. And here at Grace, it took us about a month and a half to fine-tune every placement of all the wiring harnesses that weave in that rack. And there's a lot of things that we have to really look for in these wiring harnesses, such as Does the wiring harness rub on any metal? Is it electrically sound for electromagnetic interference? Does it have enough current capability? You know, does it induce noise into the equipment? And so these are a lot of things that we sort of look at, and we have a lot of correspondence with the engineer here at NAS Jacksonville to come help us look through it. If we have questions, we present the questions, they bring the questions with them, and we go through these tracks and look at it. And so there's a multi-process that we go through to make a pile of metal and a bunch of rolls of wire look like that to be approved for use on an aircraft. And so to be a good example of a finished product that we have. And a little bit of the process we've got to go through to get to that point. So I want to say, yeah, that one has a Minotaur workstation put into there. The Navy loves to use Greek terms. They call this thing the Minotaur. But without getting too deep into it, that's...
Yeah, that was great, Lee. And Amanda, if we move on to the next slide, this shows some of the ground support equipment that we've manufactured. And can you speak to any of this? Some of this might have been a little bit before your time, but I know it's things that we're still capable of doing. And we've had some dialogue with NASA lately. We are really trying to get into the space arena now with our manufacturing capabilities. So the breadth of opportunity is really out there, especially with our proximity to Kennedy Space Center. Once again, Jacksonville is a great place to be for manufacturing right now.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Jacksonville is, I mean, as we all know, it's the largest city area-wise in the world, but we're so out, and you don't realize how many manufacturers are in town that do, you know, merge together to help support everything that we're doing. But to mention a little bit about this ground support equipment, what this equipment does is it tests very specific systems of an aircraft. The leftmost picture looks like a proximity test unit, and what that does, when you can plug that to a location of an aircraft, and that particular box would test the landing gear downlock indication of an aircraft, or the landing gear uplock indication of an aircraft. So, I mean, there are many very specific and unique systems to an aircraft to talk about, but that particular one looks like a proximity test set. All these things are manufactured here on site. It's not this stuff is not mass produced. You would go to Walmart and buy something off the shelf that's mass produced. This stuff is very specific to be able to plug into aircraft serial number through serial number such and such. So it's a lot of engineering involved into something that's not a lot of production, and that's what makes Grace sort of unique is we're able to put a lot of the engineering into lower quantity units that were required by the military, and that's kind of prevents this job from being monotonous. That's for sure. Every day I come to work, it's something brand new, and that's what makes it really cool to be and work at because of the volumes we're dealing with, detail we have to put into these different kinds of volumes. Does that help? Maybe help explain a little bit of their.
Yeah, that was great. That's great. And if we can, we'll move on to the last slide. I think Paul touched upon this a little bit, but why manufacturing? As Jake alluded to in the beginning, it's no longer that old stereotype of dirty shops. You'll often see nice, clean, well-kept shops with, you know, obviously with OSHA requirements. We make sure that our employees are comfortable and they have the appropriate safety gear that they need. And as Leighton mentioned earlier, every day is different. You're not making the same thing over and over again. And here at Grace, one of the things that we pride ourselves on is low volume, high variation. So it really does require a lot of brain power. Kareem was talking a lot about the math. It's significant in the CNC machining world. So between the engineering, the mathematics that's involved, you do use quite a lot of brain power to come up with designs and manufacture parts that will work. And I think, if you have an interest in manufacturing in those items, you can use your skills in many different aspects. There's a lot of stability. Manufacturing growing throughout the United States. It's extremely important. Obviously, we support the military, so we're very proud to help with our country's various armed forces. And obviously, there's a lot of exciting sectors of work. We talk about supporting the military, but we're also venturing into the space world, if you will. It's definitely more than an assembly line. So we're all really pleased to talk to you today and share more about Grace Aerospace and what we do here. At this point, I'll turn it over to everybody in the class or anybody that's sitting in right now and find out if you have any questions for us.
Blake, are you still there?
Yes, I'm sorry. Right here. Can you hear me?
We're doing Q&A now, yes.
Okay. I'm sorry I stepped off for a moment. Right back. Hang on. Let me get onto the screen here with you. And we are ready for some questions. I see a few things that are coming in here. A question that came in was one related to internships. Do you have internships that you offer over at Grace?
We do, and we've actually had a couple of students from UNF intern with us on the engineering side of the house. We do require anybody to be 18 years of age to work here or to do an internship. So that would really be the main prerequisite. I would also say, and there's two different avenues you can take, and either is good if you decide to go to college, you want to do an internship that way. That's wonderful. But if you decide to go straight after high school into the workforce, we could work with you on an apprenticeship where you would work under the guidance of a supervisor like a Kareem or a Leighton, and they would train you up with the skills that you need to carry out your job responsibilities. And we are a small company, so we try to offer as much cross-training opportunities as possible, so we can spread the knowledge throughout the organization, and also all individuals get opportunities to see and learn different things.
Fantastic. I know some of our students may be interested in that. There's some sideline questions that support that too. What type of entry-level jobs do you have? And I believe you may have some training opportunities that go along with that.
Sure, and that would probably fall under the apprentice type program, but we do offer other entry level jobs such as wire marking or shop helper, and some of that is just gaining familiarity with the shop and how Grace works and what we're doing on a day-to-day basis, the process flow. So it really depends on what you're interested in. If you wanted to do something on the electrical or structural side, something more specific, that would be more of an apprenticeship. Or if you want to do a support type role, that would probably fall under our shop helper or wire marking type role.
Fantastic.
And in
now,
terms of the
I'm still looking for some more questions
yeah.
from our students that might be out there. as well. And I see a few other questions here that we'll work our way through. I want to ask, here's a question. How can I get a job with Grace or maybe another manufacturer? Of course, if you are interested in that, please don't hesitate to contact us as another manufacturing opportunity. For those of you who have a pencil ready or something to record, again, my name is Lake Ray, and if we can help you, please don't hesitate to contact us. You can contact me by email at lake@FCMA, FCMA Web WEB. Pauline, how about you?
Sure. So we use a couple different avenues. Something as simple as Indeed.com will post new jobs as they become available. We also do work closely with Career Source Northeast Florida when we have new job opportunities or openings. And if you haven't heard about it, there's something called EmployFlorida.com. So they'll work with us to post our jobs out there as well. So those are really our main tools.
Fantastic. So here's one I think it's always kind of interesting, and it's always one I'm curious of. So it was a great question that came to us, and that's what originally made you interested in manufacturing and in the aerospace. Of course, I think some of that is things that you kind of came into naturally, but it takes some interest in that as well. It's not just about seeing and following; it's really just kind of having a passion for it. But maybe you can help us answer that one.
Yeah, and I'll turn this over to Kareem and Leighton, who've probably spent the majority of their careers doing it. Maybe you guys can talk a little bit about how you first got into it.
Well,
Kareem, you want to go first?
for myself, I basically just, I guess, fell into it. Found a good job with some good people who taught me to trade. And from there, I was able to carry myself further and move myself up. So in some instances, you got to just kind of really know what you like to do. I always know I like to use my hands. And I always did know that I liked computers. So it kind of went both hand in hand. How about you, Leighton?
I guess my journey in this business started in 1994. I was farming. And believe it or not, the first aircraft I've ever worked on, a crop duster. It's a yellow tractor. That's from there, the most logical path that I thought at the time, and it worked really well for me. The recruiter met me from the United States Marines and says, took the ASVAB score. They liked what I did. And 26 years later, I started with the Marines. I worked on a plane called the old sheer jump jet. If a lot of you can remember, it was the world's first aircraft that would take off straight up like that, called the Harrier. Never seen it. I was 5 years, then went into optical telecommunications, which is still hand in hand with the electronics that I learned in the Marine Corps. And from there, I get to aviation where I'm at now. I have the opportunity to be on the front side of the think tank, so to speak, of basically what I've done for the last 10 years. I'm able to take all that experience and provide solutions to problems that the military has right now. And there are many problems out there. And so there's a lot of dialogue going back and forth with our customers who are the military to provide legacy solutions to something that's almost impossible to make. We come in, fix the problem, and everybody's happy with that. But yeah, it's for me, it's been a long path, but it's been a good one.
Fantastic. Well, we're very excited that you've had that opportunity, one to grow in your career in manufacturing, and we know that it's something that's a good opportunity for our students. Does anybody else have any questions? And I'm going to throw a quick one in. This is one that I want to ask. I want to ask the Grace team. What's been the most exciting thing that you think that you have done that have been connected to? Maybe it might be something big, it might be something small, but something that's been a really exciting opportunity for you to make, and where that you can maybe look at an aircraft or look at something and go, I had something to do with that.
The closest thing that we have.
You guys, Kareem and Layton, because you're so close to this.
The thing that I get to see, the first product and go, I did that. Right here locally in Jacksonville, one of our larger projects was this P8 side. And all of basically what part of it that we built is everything inside the barrel of that plane, where the personnel walk up and down that aircraft and look at all these computers, whether it be fiber optic cables, electric cables, computers, the racks that hold it down, everything that's inside the barrel of that plane, we built it right here in this facility. And so when you look up in the sky and you see that P8 side and everything that it does, it was done right here at Grace. And that's pretty. Yep. It's pretty exciting for me to see.
That is exciting. I was
I agree with second that.
Yeah. It's amazing. It's amazing, again, at the things that are made here in our regional area. I was out at our Port Authority, the Jacksonville Port Authority, earlier today, and I was looking, and here were all these containers filled with products coming in, things that perhaps were even made at Grace, going out into different locations around the world. But it's kind of like it was just really interesting and fun being there, knowing that you're right in the center of where so many things are coming through our hands and touching in what we're doing. And I know it's some exciting things. So it's always fun to look and to realize that right here, specifically in manufacturing, things that you can do make a difference in the lives that we live and the opportunities that we have. I'm looking to see if I have any more questions right now, and I don't see any that have come in. I want to take a moment to thank everyone for your time again today, for being with us, and thank you very much to Grace for their willingness to put this program on with us. I know that they wish that we had the opportunity to be with you personally. I certainly hope and look forward to an opportunity that we can meet and be with you in the future, so you can have some hands-on experience. And I'm going to turn it back over to Pauline if she's got any final comments today.
Thanks, Lake. No, I just wanted to thank the students at Oak Leaf High School for listening in. Hopefully you found some of this interesting and may want to pursue a career path in aerospace or manufacturing. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to myself or Lake. And I think your teacher, Shauna Hendricks, has our contact details, so we're happy to talk to you about any questions you may have. And thanks for Layton and Kareem for putting together those cool videos and giving us a walkthrough of your daily life. I appreciate everybody's time today.
Yes. Mrs. Hendricks, we do want to thank you and for coordinating and making this happen on our side of things. we will certainly want to be available to you. Also, there's another resources out there for some of you that might be looking as well. If you don't contact me, Florida Makes is our partnership. They're part of the Manufacturing Extension Partnership Program from the federal government. And I know that we have Amanda Starling, who's our producer for this program today. And I want to thank Amanda and the Florida Makes team for working with us to put this together so we can be here to tell you a little bit more about manufacturing, about Grace Aerospace, and about things that you might consider for your career paths going forward. I think that sums us up for today, but we certainly wish you the very best. We're looking forward to great things out of Oak Leaf. We appreciate the school for your time and for the opportunities. And we'll look forward to seeing you again soon. All the best.
Thanks, everyone.